What's up, guys? It's your boy Justin. The brightness might be a little bit too bright, but it's like super late, guys, and I don't really have time to. I either do this now or I'll never get it done. Okay. I just got back from Bible study, and Jesus, man, they ran super late tonight, dude. It's like, dude, I should be in bed by now, but I promised I would do this tonight, and I have to do this now. And the battery's like the phone battery's almost dead, so it's like at like 27%. So we gotta do this now, and we gotta do it quick. So I don't give a shit about any whatever, dude. Let's get this done, dude. I would appreciate it, God, if this thing could stay on the straight. Oh, big book, by the way. Very big book, but not very big in length. It's a very short book. Didn't take me that long to read. It took me like a week to read, and not a week. It was like 3 days, and this fucking thing keeps falling over. Oh my god. So yeah, today we're reviewing Kull Exile of Atlantis by Robert E. Howard. Back before there was Conan the Barbarian, which we have all of our Conan graphic novels in the back. Oh, I have some other Conan stuff too, but I can only fit 3 at the back. There was Kull, which was basically the precursor to Conan the Barbarian. And a lot of people say he was more the thinking man's Conan the Barbarian, which is kind of like, I kind of disagree. If anything, he comes off dumber than Conan the Barbarian, which Conan the Barbarian is not. He's a lot more cunning than you would think he would be, especially compared to like the movies. With Arnold, like he come like, if you ever read like Conan the Barbarian, like graphic novels. I haven't read the books yet, because it's like, why read the books when there's so much comic illustration, you have all, you even have like all the 1970s like magazines that are like great, dude. I've reviewed like 2 of them, and like they're fantastic reads. So it's like, even though I like to read books, sometimes it's like, oh, if you can read it illustrated, why not read it illustrated? Which there are comic book adaptations of Kull, but they're out of print, unfortunately. So yeah, Kull, who is also a barbarian, by the way, but is King Kull, who is the ruler of not Atlantis, because you would think Kull, Kull is the king of Fallujah, which is funny, because like Atlantis, how they describe like a lot of like comics or mythology, describe Atlantis is actually just like barbarian hill tribes, right? Fallujah is actually in the Kull stories is actually the highly civilized jewel like kingdom, where despite the fact that this takes place like thousands years before the Romans, they had like steel age technology, like their knights, they have their versions of knights, which are called the Red Slayers, all like armored and like red like breastplates and stuff, like red suits of armor, like really cool, right? And unlike with the the King Kull movie with what was it called? What was it called? Kull. I can't remember, but there was a Kull movie with Kevin Sorbo. I had the movie. I watched it. I watched it like in November. I lost the fucking Blu-ray. I was gonna show that. I couldn't find it, unfortunately. Sorry, I'm a little thirsty. I'm drinking vanilla Diet Pepsi, by the way. Oh, sorry, no, this is cream soda Diet Pepsi. I thought it was vanilla. Why would I think that? Yeah, so he's more like the thinking man's, you know. Supposedly it's supposed to be the thinking man's Kull the Barbarian, but really he's not. He comes off like a dumbass at times, dude, with some of these stories. And I'm gonna speak negatively about the book. I did actually enjoy the book, which is, for people who don't know, these stories were not was not published in, like, they weren't like novels. They were like they were short stories published in magazines. Like, the first short story ever to feature Kull was actually, like, I think it was like 3 pages, dude. Which, there's beautiful illustrations in this book, by the way. Yeah, look at these illustrations. Like, this is like the first one, which is called The Entitled Story, which is just Kull before he was an Exile of Atlantis. How he got exiled was like, he went hunting with these hunters, and they come back from hunting, and the village decides to, oh, there's this chick who was married to a Valusian, which the Atlanteans, Valusia is basically like Rome, where like everybody outside of Rome hates Rome, right? So she married with a Valusian, so like, okay, we have to set this bitch on fire. And Kull feeling, sympathy for the girl, puts her out of her misery, right? And that's how he ends up in exile. And then time skips to him being king of Valusia, which they don't go into. Oh my god, everything fucking falls over, dude. That thing behind the book is supposed to keep the book from falling over, but it can't keep it from falling forward. Oh, sorry. When I think falling forward, I think of President Biden when he was going up those stairs, like he fucking falls. A time skip to him already being king of Fallujah, which, if you want to see the story of how Kull became the king of Fallujah, you have to watch the movie. Where in the book they don't really give context on how he became the king of Fallujah. It's just that, oh, he killed the old king, and that's how. Maybe this will help it from falling over, dude. Okay, there we go. There we go. We figured it out, guys. We figured it out. But the brightness is really, covering up the illustration. Which, the illustration's by Justin Sweet, by the way. He's like, oh, I read the introduction, and it's funny, I was like, oh, I always want to do illustrations for, like, Conan the Barbarian, but then he's like, he's doing Kull. So it's like, I'm sorry, if there's anybody who's like, oh, Kull, my favorite barbarian character is not Conan, it's Kull. Like, unless you're an Insa, I don't believe you. Because that's, like, one thing that, like, I would believe. The only reason I would believe someone's like, I like Kull over Conan is because Kull kind of comes off like an insult. Especially, like, he never, in any of the stories, there's, like, 3 stories that have to do with couples, right? He never gets laid in these stories, and there's like one story where this couple, there's 3 stories of couples, right? One where where they insulted him, and he chases them to the ends of the earth to go after him, to kill them, right? Because they insulted him, right? And the other 2 was like, oh, this one chick wants to marry this dude, but she can't because, her father, the boyfriend's like a foreigner. And there's another story where, like, oh, this one guy wants to marry this slave, but he can't marry the slave because, oh, fuck sakes. because it's illegal for the nobility to marry slaves. And then it's like, okay, why don't you just marry? Like, that was a very stupid story, because, like, the dude was already like, okay, just buy the slave and then marry her, right? Because she wants to get married to this guy too. But it's like, even then, it's still illegal, right? So, like, that's the by this axe I rule story, which that was a good story. But most of the stories is like Kull. People want to kill Kull because Kull is king, and then they don't like the fact that this barbarian is king. Not the fact that he's kind of stupid. Because there's literally a story, which I did enjoy these stories, by the way. But, like, there's a lot of stories in here, which not only does the book have every story with Kull, it also has, like, the poems and the unfinished scripts, and even, like, there's a lot of filler in the book as well, where it has, like, rough drafts, which I'm, like, reading. I was debating, should I read the rough drafts just to see what the differences are? And I went through half of it. It's like, this is pretty much the same as the fucking, like, published story. So it was like, I didn't read the rough drafts, by the way. I tried to, but it was like, yeah, this is pretty much the same. Or it's like, or it would be like the unfinished, like, version, right? And there's some unfinished stories here, whereas, like, one was a murder mystery, and then, like, you know, it ends with Kull be like, huh. Like, he shrugs. Like, ah, fuck it. Which is funny, by the way, because it's like, oh yeah, he just gave up. It's like, I don't want to fucking deal with this. But yeah, there's a really stupid story where, like, Kull gets basically tricked by this wizard into, like, he goes to visit this wizard, and the wizard has all these mirrors, right? And the wizard tells him, hey Kull, you can, if you stare into mirrors long enough, you'll see other worlds. So it's like Kull just sits, like, in front of mirrors all day, like, days on, like, you know, day after day, like, trying, basically psyoping himself into believing he can see other worlds and shit, almost disappearing into, like, in existence, only to get saved by his friend, a picked, what was his name? I forget his name. The picked warrior. But yeah, the reason why, like, you know, like, Kull comes off like an insult, because he gets, like, there's a lot of stories where he's, like, uncomfortable with women, and, like, he never wenches. He's like, oh, I'm more interested in, like, ruling than, like, you know, with women, right? He constantly mentions that. So it's like, oh, it's like very if you read the book, it's very obvious, like, oh yeah, he kind of comes off like it is, so, unfortunately. But yeah, he's a gym cell. But yeah. But there are some, like, badass stories in the book. Like, there's a story, one of the early stories, I think it's called The Shadow Kingdom, where it's like, I think it's like the second story, where he basically, that's when we get introduced to his Pictus barbarian friend, and that he's, like, basically gets told to go to travel by himself to neighboring kingdom to meet with this guy with this other king who's supposed to be an ally, right? And he's basically told, if you don't go, you're a pussy, right? And he's like, man, I can't be shown to be a pussy, even though this is likely a trap. He goes there, finds out, like, tells him, hey, there's a plot against you in your kingdom, and that the people who are out to get you are shape-shifting reptilians, dude, who have been working in the shadows to undermine your kingdom, and they've been around for, like, centuries or whatever, right? So I'm like, oh my god. Oh, so that's where, like, that's the story where we get introduced to is, like, you know, Pictus. What was the guy's name, man? What was this guy's name? Here we see, oh, there's the Red Slayers. There's like, it's not Gaul. Oh my god, not Amra. There's Valk. He's constantly says Valka, which is the name of his god. There's a really cool illustration of, like, you know, he almost looks like Thor there. Is it Kalnu? No, Kalnu's his bastard or friend. I don't know. I can't find, what was the guy's name? I read this like weeks ago, dude. That's him, right? I think that's him. He has like a curved sword. Brule was the guy's name. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot there was a story about like they encounter like a ghost, right? Yeah, that was cool. All right. So yeah, Brule. So that was a really cool story. There's another story where they fight another like shapeshifter guy, and it's where he was supposed to be like. It's obvious like that character was the inspiration for Skeletor. So it's like they there's a story where it's like this guy tries to kill him, and it's actually an immortal wizard in disguise who has a skull face, and it's like, huh, how many wizards do we know have like a skull face, dude? So it's like, oh my god, Skeletor was obviously inspired by this guy, dude. And these stories were republished in the 60s. So like a decade before He-Man. So there's like, you can't tell me, oh yeah, Skeletor was probably not inspired by this dude. But yeah, most of the stories has to do with like people want to kill Kull so he can like, you know, so they can take his throne. And then there's like, that's basically it, dude. So this review kind of sucks, but yeah, sorry, dude. I was rushed, and yeah, shit happens. But I enjoyed the book. But the problem with the book is like it's 30-something bucks. It was like $30. There's a lot of filler in there, and yeah, the stories were mostly good. Some of the stories was stupid. Like there's a story about a talking cat, which was like, oh my god, dude. That was a stupid... And it turns out the talking cat was in league with this one chick who was trying to get Trick... Like, why didn't Kull behead this bitch? Who tried to, like, trick Kull into, like, convincing him to let her marry this one dude. And she came up with this plot, and only for the plot to get usurped... get like subverted into a plot to kill Kull, right? Because one of the guys who was like working with her gets replaced by one of the lizard. I think it was by a lizard man, or no, not the lizard man, the Skeletor guy. And then like there was another plot with her too. So it was like, oh my god, dude. So, like, yeah, you should have beheaded that chick. But, yeah, whatever. Well, there's a story worth, like... Yeah, the battery's low, so we gotta wrap it up. So, yeah, the story... Most of the stories were good. The problem is with this book, there's a lot of filler. And you kind of... It's a good... If you can get the book for cheap, I would recommend it. But, yeah, paying full price for this, yeah... But like the appeal of the sword and sorcery books is that, unlike with a lot of fiction, these guys are like, a lot of the sword and sorcery protagonists are like anti-heroes, dude. So they're not like your typical bright-eyed, like innocent, naive, like, you know, young heroes. These are like brooding, like brawny guys, dude, who are like kind of loose morals, and will kill a guy just for pissing them off, dude. So that's kind of like the appeal of these barbarian kind of characters. with these sword and sorcery characters, which this was in a top 10 list of like sword and sorcery books. So yeah, I enjoyed the book, but I don't know. For me to read more sword and sorcery books, I'm not gonna pay this kind of that $30. But yeah, like a lot of the stories are like super short, like are less than 30 pages. I would say read them like, you know. I would definitely not like binge read this. I would just read one story at a time. But yeah, a lot of filler with the book. So yeah, that's kind of keep it like I did enjoy the book. My rating is a 7 out of 10, but my problem with the book is like a lot of filler, and then like, you know, well, what's the point of putting in like shit like rough drafts of like stories that are like incomplete versions when there was a full version of the story already in the fucking book. So it's like that was dumb. So our next, I was gonna show the books I picked up, but like the battery's gonna die soon. So yeah, that's I got some. This is this is the Kiernafalis Into the Midnight Throne, which is like a ttrpg book. Sorry, tabletop role-playing book. I got Lamentations of the Flame Princess. This is the player core book. I don't have the DM book. This is like Lovecraft meets D&D. So I wish they would do like, you know, someone would make a Lovecraftian D&D like video game. But fuck, that will never happen. I also picked up this book. I bought this at my local bookstore. I thought it was like, oh, it's cool, like Berserk inspired solo tabletop RPG, and it's really not. I looked up reviews I should have looked up reviews before I bought it. It sucks, but the art looks really cool. But there's some art in there. It's like, what the fuck, dude? I picked up the latest volume of Hunter x Hunter. I think that's the latest volume. I'm probably going to get rid of Last Sabbath. I heard that game sucks. Oh, I picked up the second Fritz Lieber book. Falvard and Grey Mouser. That's the Von Beck book I was supposed to review, but I read that instead because it was shorter. So, really cool cover. And I picked up the first solo leveling book, which has no illustrations, by the way. It is like this illustration, and that's it, dude. I was like, what the fuck? Come on, dude. Which I thought solo leveling was just a webtoon. Apparently it was a book series first. So I'm kind of thinking I'm going to review either one of these two next. I'm not sure. And it'll hopefully be better than this review, guys. I'm sorry. Oh, what a clusterfuck. Bye.